Hello and welcome to the latest episode in our series of conversations with English UK London champions and industry leaders. Today I'm going to talk to former English UK London chair Hannah Alexander-Wright. As we face challenging times, many people are seeking new opportunities both for themselves and their businesses. So who better than to talk to than Hannah, who has a master's from the University of Arts in innovation management, I'm slurring already, in innovation management, and has built on the lessons learned a successful career in international education to create her own brand, become an associate lecturer at the University of Creative Arts, a writer, communication specialist, master supervisor, and coach. Wow, go you, Hannah. Hannah, hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thanks so much for joining us. How have you been through lockdown?
Yeah, good, thank you. I've been puppy training, which is harder than you think. I've been, as you said, I've been lecturing, which again is harder than you think when I've got 75 students and a laptop and no one's putting their camera on or audio. I'm there going, hello, hello. That was weird, but we got there. And I've been supervising some master students as well for Hyper Island, which is really, really rewarding, which I love. And then I've got my full-time job. I'm working for a creative agency at the moment as a writer and innovation specialist. And we're embedded in a Fortune 10 company, which is a legacy organization, which I will talk to you about another time over a beer, because it's, yeah, a very, very interesting organization. Mainly working in digital transformation there, so lots of stuff about digital innovation and business agility and all these really interesting topics.
Wow. So grass hasn't grown under your feet. So
yeah, I'm so tired, Jake.
yeah, it sounds it. I was exhausted, right? So we've seen colossal change, obviously, in the industry and international education, and clearly we're in the middle of something that can be quite daunting for many people, both professionally and personally. Very challenging for the industry. But for people in international education to innovate, what do you think are the conditions or mentality that people need to have to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, thinking about international education, I mean, God, it must have been very, very difficult for business owners at the moment. But I was thinking, because of my work with business agility at the moment, we're looking at how the world is the VUCA world. Have you come across VUCA?
No, go ahead.
So that's a volatile, what is it? Volatile.
Uncertain?
Uncertain, very good. I should make this into a competition.
Yeah,
complex and ambiguous.
Wow.
Okay, so this whole idea is that this is how the world is now. And it's not going to change back to a nice slow pace. It's getting, the pace of the world is getting quicker and quicker. And so you need to have your business, your organization is as agile as it can be. So it needs to be able to withstand all these internal and external issues. And I think with ELT, we're used to that, definitely, specifically ELT, because the government will take away a visa here or work rights there, and we've had to adapt all the time.
Yeah.
So I think the smaller schools especially are used to being agile. So when you've got a small school or a family-run business, you have to be the receptionist who's also makes the tea, who also paints the school, and I think having that mentality is so important. We can't sit in silos anymore. We can't say, I'm in the marketing department, that's what I do, because that's just not going to cut it if we're then going to have to adapt and pivot all the time in this new normal.
Yeah, no, very true. As a small business owner, I can certainly resonates with me. Now, winding back, I think it was a couple of years ago, a couple of study worlds ago, you did this brilliant workshop where I learned a lot of things, amongst them that ideate was a word. But in that you had this excellent framework, and I wondered if you could share that a little bit for people so they can understand a little bit more about the world of innovation and so on.
Yes, I think you're talking about design thinking.
Yes, that's
so
right.
Design thinking is a way way of framing a problem. So because a lot of us are used to seeing a problem and going straight to the answer, design thinking really pulls out that process. So you can rise above that and actually look at the problem instead. And so, yeah, there are 5 stages of design thinking. Again, I should ask you. The first one.
Well, I said it was brilliant, but I can't remember all the detail, Hannah. So help us out.
Why haven't you taken notes? Okay. The first one is empathize. Okay, so you empathize with your customer. And again, like empathize, going back to kind of the business agility idea, which is kind of very much connected with design thinking, is that, so if you think about the world of work, businesses from the first time businesses were businesses, when we had like the craft age. And so if you wanted a pair of shoes, you went to a craftswoman who would make a pair of shoes for you. And then we went to this mass production, and suddenly everything was really affordable, but the quality wasn't so good. We were really used to that. And now we've moved on, and now we want customer centricity and we want productivity. So it's all about products and customers all at the same time. So the empathize thing is so important, that we're not just building a product and saying, oh, everyone's going to love this because I like it. It's all about talking to your customers, like speaking to them, understanding them, making sure that you've got a range of customers that you're speaking to. So you kind of empathize, where you can really understand the whole context of the problem. And then you define it. The define stage is making sure that you are actually dealing with the problem, not what you think is a problem. So I think I gave an example when I was working in a school, when I was told that the terms and conditions were too relaxed, and students were able to cancel at the last minute. And so the problem was about the terms and conditions. But actually, when you step back, it wasn't about the terms and conditions. It's because when a student booked the course, we gave them loads of information, and then we ignored them 3 months before they came. And they got cold feet, they got buyer's remorse. So the problem wasn't the terms and conditions, the problem was a common strategy. And that's what we need to focus on. So the defining point is really, really important, to make sure that you're not wasting all your time looking at the wrong problem. Then it's ideate, it's a great word, to come up with ideas. And there are loads and loads of really cool, interesting ways to come up with ideas. Then you make a prototype. And this sounds like kind of product design, but it can be a process or something in your customer service to try it out. And I think, especially in marketing, we've always been very much, okay, we need to make it perfect before our customer sees it. And that just doesn't work. And there's so many stories. Google Glass, for example, or Segway. These are like really big products that were never tested with customers. And when they brought them out, the customers were like, it's a bit nerdy. Like, I wouldn't buy it. And so, like, you need that kind of feedback all the time. So you prototype, you come up with little ideas, and that could be a course. So let's just, try out this course with the students who are there at the moment for free, see what they think, get feedback, and then you start testing it further. Could we then scale it? Could we then do that in a different market? So yeah, the kind of design thinking process, as I say, slows down that problem solving idea, and I think it's really quite successful. I like it, and it's quite good ideating.
Great. And I think whilst people are looking for frameworks or models, it's certainly a great one. Right. Well, in many ways, because you spent your early career in the EFL industry, you're an insider, but you've had the opportunity the last few years doing many other things to kind of look from the outside. But for you, what does the recovery look like, and what are you optimistic about?
Yeah, I think it is about really understanding this new normal. We've got generations of people who are now digital, and they were never digital before. So what can we do with that? There's a lot of stuff with tech that I think, so my parents' generation, I've never had a video call before the lockdown, and they were always video calling. I think brand loyalty is not so strong anymore because people are used to shopping around online. We're changing our supermarkets. We're happy about that. We're buying stuff online which we've never heard of because I can't go to a shop. Like it's suddenly opened these possibilities. So I think really understanding this new normal, I think, is really important, and also the way it's going to swing backwards and forwards, because we don't know what happens. What does lockdown mean, and then not lockdown, and all this kind of stuff. I think also there's a thing about being an and leader, AND. So like and leadership is about, yes, can you hit all the KPIs this quarter? Yes, that's a good leader. But also, are you putting things in place for the future? Have you always got one eye on the future and what could be, and not just a future, but several futures? Are you horizon scanning? Are you looking at all the different possibilities, as well as really thinking about now? So you can't be short-sighted, I think, as a leader right now. I think I'm optimistic for international education, because it's still wonderful. People aren't stopping international education because they don't want to. It's because of everything else. And I think when you take something away, your appetite grows, doesn't it? Like, I really want to go out on holiday more than anything else right now, because I haven't been able to. People are going to want to come to the UK even more now. I think it's about being ready for that, but also ready for what that means, and how this blended learning can happen in a more meaningful way. But it isn't just, go to this website and then let's see you face to face. So what actually do people want from this kind of new age? So I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I really do. I'm positive. Are you positive?
I'm positive. I think the only thing that is for a lot of English UK London members is just it's the when. But for me, there's no if. There will definitely be a lot of pent-up demand of people that saw a kind of rite of passage, whether that was as a sort of 14-year-old or 15-year-old Italian to come to do a summer camp, whether that is a Chinese student that wants to come to study their masters, whether that's somebody that wants to take a kind of gap year from South America and do 6 months of English language learning because it will help them in their future life and so on. Any of those scenarios I don't see is going to change. And you're right, online learning is not a substitute for that. I do think it can play a role, and I think we can embrace that. But clearly for the industry, just replicating what they think they do in the classroom online is not enough, because lots of people have English language classes in their home countries and already been taking that for years. We're about 20 years behind on that. But what we have got is an amazing experience or product or service, or call it what you like. So no, I'm very optimistic. I think just the thing that has the slight pessimism is the factors that work against us, whether that's the business rates, whether that's Brexit, etc. But I think when you look at things, we're an extremely resilient industry. I think this could be difficult for a lot of people, but those that come out of it, I think will prosper in the future, because there will be people, and hopefully we'll have an even better product than we did before. So there's lots of reasons to be optimistic.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it goes back to the kind of empathise parts of the design thinking framework. That actually, what do customers, students, what do people want now? Not what we think they want. And then a lot of the time, customers don't know what they want until you offer it to them, which is very hard, which is part of the testing and prototyping as well. So I think when it comes to problematic times, innovation sometimes slows down because people are scared to go out and do that. But I think for me, obviously, as an innovation specialist, I think innovation is extraordinarily important right now. There's a really interesting thing called the innovation ambition matrix, very hard to say. And that looks at all the kind of innovation that you have, and it just categorizes it into 3. So if you've got the incremental innovation, and you've got adjacent innovation, and radical or transformational innovation. And so I've been thinking about those 3 things. So you're thinking about, okay, what can I do, just a little nudge that can improve it and make it a bit better? And there's been studies, Harvard Business Review did a study about this, and 70% of your innovation budget, if you like, should go on to incremental. So just a little bit more, because little tweaks, a new flavor of this, a new something can really, really help. And then you have about, I think 20% should be, I need to get my maths right, 20% should be about adjacent innovation. So close, but maybe like a new customer, for example. So I've always done adult courses. Now we'll look at juniors, for example, an adjacent product.
Yeah.
And then 10% of the kind of radical, we're not even a language school. We are this instead, something completely and utterly different that you can start working on. And that's part of your looking at your VUCA world, that kind of adapting and always looking at the future. So I think if you're going to have a look at some frameworks, which I love, design thinking for problem solving and thinking about the innovation ambition matrix for the kind of let's just kickstart this and not just wait things to happen to us, but actually start planning for the future and being optimistic about that.
Yeah. And of course, not just to, obviously we're spurred into action because of the current situation, but to never stop doing this. Maybe we've been complacent's a strong word, but we've been churning out general English courses for a long time, and actually now there's an opportunity to have fresh thinking. So right, finally, we're taking part in the Because I'm a Londoner campaign that was put together by London Partners and Visit London and so on. And you've obviously spent a lot of your time working or lecturing or coming into London to meet friends and so on. Now that we're coming out of lockdown, what are the things that you've been missing, or what are the things that for you makes London so special that you're going to enjoy doing in the coming months?
Gosh, okay, so for me, London is special because it's a world in a city, and I think there's just such a buzz about the city. And what I miss, being in my little cocoon. I mean, literally in my cocoon in this room. But like, I don't feel that buzz, that energy. Like, we're also having to keep ourselves to ourselves, obviously, because of the pandemic. But there's something about being in London and being on your own in London, wandering around. But there's so much energy going around, and I miss that energy so much. So I'm really, really looking forward to, just venturing in, being brave, venturing in, and just feeling that energy again, because it's there. I can feel it. I can touch it.
Love it. Your heart beats slightly faster when it comes to London. It's true.
It just does, doesn't it? What a place.
Great. Well, that wonderful moment to finish on. So thank you very much, Hannah. Really appreciate it. I know you've got clearly a very packed schedule at the moment with all the different projects and work that you're doing. So thank you very much for giving up your time. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Really lovely seeing you.
Great. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.